What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have kind of a different video. We're not working on one specific car or building anything. We're just going to kind of be going around the shop and showing you all the cars. So we decided to start with this one. This here is a 1932 Ford Roadster. Now you're definitely going to notice a little theme with that. There's definitely more than one 32 Ford Roadster around here. So this is a Bonneville race car. It actually started life as a 5-window coupe. Now it's a Roadster. It's powered by a GMC 6-cylinder. It's got a little Eaton blower on it, and it's got a 4-speed manual Tex 101, which is kind of like a NASCAR transmission. You actually don't need the clutch to shift it. You can just kind of bang through the gears without the clutch. And this thing had 2 records at Bonneville at one point. Now it only has 1. And I think the record's currently at about 156 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure. There is a trophy over there that has the record on it. So let's go take a look at that and see what exactly it is. So this here is one of the older ones. That's at 100, what is that at? An average of 151, but that is not a current record for this car. It's definitely gone a lot faster than that. But yeah, this thing, hopefully one day I'll get to drive it, but this thing's definitely a blast. We'll kind of show you inside here. Very crowded. There's not much leg room there. But this thing's definitely a cool thing to drive. Maybe we'll throw up a video of it driving. But yeah, that's kind of a fun car I want to start with. So let's move on to something that actually belongs to me. Okay, so moving on to something that is mine. This is my Trans Am race car. If you don't know what Trans Am is, it's basically a NASCAR. That would be the closest thing to it. Right now we got it all apart. We got the engine out and all that stuff. We're redoing the brakes, redoing just a bunch of stuff, getting it ready for the season. So let's take a bit of a closer look at that. Now the only thing is when people think of NASCAR, they think oval track. That is not this. This is a road racing only car. It never goes on the ovals. And if you look inside here, it's kind of dark, but it's definitely more roomy than that little Roadster is. And it's actually, really, it's a fairly comfortable car to drive. The seat's pretty comfortable. But yeah, it's getting its kind of, it's getting its kind of end of season, well, almost the beginning of the season refresh though. Let's see, we got the motor out here. Just kind of a basic 350. It's a 602 crate. It's got an upgraded intake and a few other things, probably bigger cam, but it's a pretty basic engine. It might make 400 horsepower at the best. And then here's the transmission, which is kind of something fancy. It's like the Roadster where you don't need the clutch to shift it. It's a Jericho 4-speed. You got your dog rings here so you can just shift it without the clutch. And this will be the first year, this season, upcoming season, is going to be the first season of me using that transmission. I'm very excited to do that. So yeah, sticking with the race car theme, that is my Trans Am slash NASCAR. Okay, let's move on to something a little more vintage and not a race car. Okay, so unlike the Trans Am car, this is actually not my car. This belongs to my dad. And for most of you probably already know, but this is a 32 Ford 4-door sedan. And there's one thing kind of, besides being a very original and nice car, there's one thing pretty unusual about it, and that's under the hood. So let's take a look. So definitely something a little unique about this car is that it has a regular 4-cylinder, but it's got an aluminum overhead valve Miller head. And if you guys know your flatheads, that's definitely different. Instead of having the valves down in the block down here, it's got overhead valves like a modern car would. And it definitely helps this old car keep up on the street with regular traffic. And inside, this thing's just a very stock, original looking car. It's got a kill switch there, which is kind of odd, but other than that, it's a very nice original, as you'll see here. When my dad bought this car, it was supposed to be very nice, but when he got it, it was smoking like you wouldn't believe, just pouring smoke out the back. And it turned out it had the wrong size piston rings in it. And what else did it have? The oil ring wasn't installed properly, and it was just kind of a mess inside. So we had to take it apart and completely redo all that and fix up the screw-ups. Okay, so keeping with the theme of 32 Fords, this is definitely probably the nicest car in the garage. This is a current project, almost done, 32 Ford Victoria. And my dad's been working a long time to make this thing as nice as it is. But it's basically a bone stock original. We'll take a closer look at that. Under the hood, you'll see here, it's just got nothing like the other one with the fancy head or anything. Just got the original, we gotta be very careful with this car. It just got the original stock flathead. There is a hot rod motor over there we'll go take a look at, but this thing is just a very original car. So let's very carefully close the hood so we don't piss them off. Close that up. He basically just finished the interior, all original. You'll definitely see that's the theme of how he likes everything. So yeah, this is definitely a nice original car. And those are definitely not the last 32 Fords in the garage, so we'll kind of quickly go through these. We got a 32 Ford Roadster, just got a stock 4-cylinder in it, very original. 32 Ford 3-window coupe, and this thing is basically just a shell. There's actually no motor in it or anything like that. We've got a Phaeton here with a V8. And then, okay, on to something that's not a 32 Ford. Okay, so on to something that's not a 32 Ford. This was actually my dad's car. It's a 51 Ford. It's got just a regular stock flathead in it, but I think this is definitely one of the best running cars I've ever heard. And if you know flatheads, a lot of them, they don't run perfectly smooth. Sometimes they, just for whatever reason, but this thing runs unbelievably smooth. So maybe we'll try and start it up here and just show you guys how well it runs. Okay, so let's take a look in here and just see if we can see if this thing will start up for one. So just regular 3 on the tree, but it's just such a good running car. It's kind of unbelievable. Let's see, hopefully it starts. Probably should pull the choke out. Come on. There we go. Make sure it's in neutral. But let's take a listen from outside. But I don't know how well you guys are gonna hear it, but it just runs so good, so smooth. Doesn't shake or anything. It's really just a nice looking car. And a lot of people kind of comment on the paint that they like. It's kind of faded and it's almost got a little matte finish to it, but apparently people really like that. So yeah, let's shut it off before we kill ourselves with carbon monoxide, but let's move on to something else. So you guys will kind of notice the theme here is very stock original cars. So this might not surprise you to know that this does not belong to us and it's just being stored here. But there's another 32 Ford, big surprise. But this thing's definitely a hot rod. It's got a 327, I believe, Holley carburetor. And this thing used to go drag racing back in the day. It was actually in a magazine. I'll flash some pictures up on the screen of the magazine it was in. I think it was in, what was it in? It was in Rod and Customs here. And this thing was actually pulled out of a barn. And it's actually amazing how well it survived being pulled out of the barn. Let's see if we can find a good picture of it. There it is sitting in the barn. And all the interior stayed nice and everything. And there's a couple pictures in Rod and Customs of it. So I'll flash up some pictures of that on the screen. But yeah, this is definitely a very neat car. And it's got some pretty cool history with it. Under here we got our storage table, which is the 54 Corvette. Also not ours, belongs to the same guy who owns that car. Ooh, don't want to bump that. There's also a couple cars back here that also aren't ours, but one's a Woody, and that is a 40 pickup. It's green. This is ours, and hopefully one day, maybe, it will become a track car or something like that. 914 Porsche. It's so buried, but it doesn't run, and it's kind of a project. But yeah, it's a nice car. I think it's only got 40,000 original miles, and they're a very neat car. Mid-engine 4-cylinder, basically a Volkswagen with a Porsche body. Oh, and last but not least, this is my project. We've got a 69 Pontiac Le Mans here. This thing actually will start up and drive. We did a lot of work putting a new motor in it, and this thing was just a total heap when we got it. It came out of a tow yard. and we're doing a lot of work on it. But sadly, between the race car and everything, I haven't had enough time. I should be working on it more, but I'm not, but I will. So that's gonna just basically wrap it up for everything in here. There's one thing outside that's worth showing. Let's go take a look. So this here is the 69 C10 that I actually take drag racing. You'll see it on the channel. It's kind of got a hot little 350 in it. Nothing too crazy though, but there's gonna be a lot more content on that truck this year when we take it drag racing and stuff. Hopefully it runs some good times, but we'll see. There's a couple other oddball things outside. There's a NASCAR over there, and I think that's a 70 Duster that belongs to a buddy of mine. But there's some different stuff laying around. Okay, so that's gonna just about wrap up today's video. If there's anything I kind of skipped over or missed, just leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. So that's just gonna about wrap it up for this video. And hopefully we'll see you guys on the next one.